Mary is really brutal with the creature. If you read the novel, the creature really is demonic at times, and still you love him. And the thing is, what I wanted to do is about today. Why do we have to value people as the best and the worst when the oxygen is not in the black or the white, it's in the gray?
Hello, and welcome back to The Director's Cut, brought to you by the Directors Guild of America. In this episode, a daring science experiment leads to disaster in director Guillermo del Toro's gothic horror, Frankenstein. Based on the classic novel by Mary Shelley, the film tells the tragic story of the brilliant but egotistical Dr. Victor Frankenstein, who brings a monstrous creature to life. When the experiment spirals out of his control, events transpire that lead to the undoing of both the creator and his creation. In addition to Frankenstein, Del Toro's other directorial credits include the feature films Hellboy, Pan's Labyrinth, Pacific Rim, Crimson Peak, Nightmare Alley, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, and the pilot for the series The Strain. He won the DGA Award for Outstanding Directorial Achievement in Feature Film for his 2017 feature The Shape of Water. Following a screening of the film at the DGA Theater in New York, Del Toro spoke with director Bradley Cooper about filming Frankenstein. Listen on for their spoiler-filled conversation.
Okay. The thing that I always desperate to feel when watching another movie by someone that we love as a filmmaker is that you feel like it's personal, right? That you feel like no matter what the story is, you can't help but feel like you're learning about the filmmaker. And boy, do I in this one. And my first question is, how the heck did you do that? How did you pull that off with this epic story and the cinematic structure that you created, where you switched one of the many things that you did that was difficult, switch perspectives halfway through? Talk to me about how, because I know, the genesis of this to a degree when we were working together. You were writing it back then, and we would read it. So talk to me about how you infused such that personal story through this structure, and how you came up with this structure in order to execute it so that we all just felt what we just felt.
Well, great question. The fact is, I became a human being at age 7 when I went from church on a Sunday to seeing Boris Karloff crossing the threshold on TV. And I was raised Catholic. I'm lapsed. And don't blame me for anything. But when he crossed the threshold, I quite literally had like a paroxysm. And all of a sudden I understood religion. I understood that when my grandmother talked about Jesus and Immaculate Conception and the resurrection of the flesh and ecstasy and holiness, it was him and he was me. And at age 11, I read the novel and I said, oh, that's not the movie I saw. I can make this in Super 8. And I started a long trek, 50 years, I'm 61, 50 years thinking about it. And if you know any of my movies, Frankenstein is on everything from Kronos to Pinocchio for 30 years as a director. And I studied, and when people say I do a deep dive, now it means they Googled for 20 minutes. I did a deep dive for 50 years on Gothic romance, the romantics, the aesthetics of the romantic painters, what the movement meant, the history that surrounded them, Mary Shelley's biography, Percy, Lord Byron, Polidori, everybody at Billy Adodati. And I realized first of all, we had so much in common, Mary and I. It's very strange for a Mexican Catholic boy to say this about a Protestant girl, 18, in England. But my mother, her mother died on a miscarriage. My mother was born, and her mother died a few days later, just like Mary's mother died 11 days after she was born. Mary had miscarriages. My mother had miscarriages. I was almost one, and some reviewers would say I was. But the beauty of fusing death and life in one, it was completely at a molecular level with me. And there is a large part of me that has always felt, resonating more with things that are not what a boy growing up in the 60s was meant to be. So my father was puzzled by me. And I thought through Frankenstein I could speak to my father as a son. And I saw that she basically did an autobiography of the soul on the book. And I said, I'm going to be just like her. I'm going to be brave and put stuff that hurts about me and my dad. And then all those years behaving like a son, I didn't realize I had become a father. And now I had to talk to my kids and say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I'm not a son anymore, I'm a father. And through the years, accumulating the tools to make this movie became a quest to finally summarize everything I know about the craft, everything I know about. I don't offer solutions, I offer experience. And it all went there, and the crux of it all was the novel is epistolary. You start with the diary of the Captain Walton in the ship, then you shift perspective, and I thought, that's what I want to do with the movie. And I did it through cinematic devices, like each of the episodes has a concentrated color palette. The opening is blue, white, and gold, and is the opening and closing is a circular movie. The circles are present, blah, blah, blah. And then Victor comes in, and he is like Jesus. He has a halo. He's all holy, and this is what happened to me. And his memories of childhood are white, black, and red. Red is the mother, the quest for eternity. The red only is from that moment on like that. And then the episode of Victor narrating his youth is filmed with the camera zooming, and is exciting and full of color, modern, feels like a bohemian in Soho in 1965, And then the voice of the creature comes in, and it becomes a fairy tale, And the point of inflection took me 2.5 years to figure out on the screenplay. 2.5 years of moving it here, there, when. Do I do a Rashomon? Do I repeat 6 sequences? And I decided, no, the point of inflection is that point where your kid comes back as a teenager and tells you, let me tell you what it feels to be me. And then you have 2 choices as a father. You listen and realize that is not an era of troubled youth. You are most likely an asshole in some way, most likely. And it's the only time they're going to tell you how it feels to be your son or your daughter. And if you listen, and if you, in these times where this is so scarce, if you're capable of saying, I'm sorry, the wounds heal. So I knew that I had to do it when Victor loses sight of the creature. When it explodes, and that's the end of it. And he says, well, that was it. And then the creature comes in. And the way my bed was is I lay the bedrock on the first part, including an interlude of almost comedy, like a palate cleanser before the creation, the confessionary, the dancing, all this joy. And then my bet was, if I can make the audience sit up again after an hour 15, when the creature says, now I will tell you mine, and the sign comes, the creature's tale, then that's the structure that I bet everything on.
And it was successful.
Thank you, my friend.
And in this this little eddy that you go into with the dancing and the comedy, yeah. I would say that was essential for the viewer to understand Victor in a way that I didn't expect to. That confessional scene I just found magical.
Thank you.
And just dimensional. so that by the end of the movie, when he says his name, which the writing of that, the simplicity of just, when the creature says Victor.
Yeah. And the way Jacob delivers it.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people talk about Jacob's physicality, which comes from us we discussed developmental stages of the baby. He took 4 weeks of Buto, the Japanese dance of resurrecting the flesh, with a Japanese master in Toronto, blah, blah, but also I said the creature, Mary is really brutal with the creature. If you read the novel, the creature really is demonic at times. And still you love him. And the thing is, what I wanted to do is about today. Why do we have to value people as the best and the worst when the oxygen is not in the black or the white, it's in the gray? We are polychrome people. We are capable of being the best at 10:30 and the worst at 11:45 in traffic, or be ugly at 2. Why can't we? And I said, I'm going to make Victor understandable, but capable of great pettiness, and the creature understandable, but the creature still kills 8 people at the very least. Right. So, why not? Why can't we not discuss life like adults in relative terms, which is all we have? And that confessional scene was the first thing we shot between them.
Wow.
First day.
Wow.
Them together. And the voice Jacob did, not the physical, the voice, which he found when he put the teeth. If you find the voice, you find the character, right?
Yes.
And when he put the teeth, we were talking about lower and chest, throat, lower and more, and then he put the teeth and he said, fire. And we had, I said, don't move. And if we needed to invoke something, I would say, fire, sand. And then he would fall into it.
Talk to me a little bit about your visual scope, especially the laboratory / castle / fortress that Victor erects the creature.
Yeah.
Specifically the water.
Yeah.
In the down, the various layers. Right.
Yeah.
Talk to me, because when did you come up with that, and how did you know that would be a vital part of us understanding Victor and then his birth, right? He's birthed through that canal at the end.
You know how I work with the visuals and all that. What I do is my house is a library. It's 13 libraries, and I go with a library card and I gather books. I gathered an 1835 medical library. I gather painters like Caspar David Friedrich, William Blake, Henry Fuseli, all the romantics, Grimshaw, and I put everything historical, and I find the exact year and the exact place I want it to happen. And then I research architecture around that. And the only building, in the original, in the Whale Tale, which is based on a 1920s play, is a lab that exists near a mill and all that. I said, what would be a structure? And water towers next to a lake. And I saw that they have a hole in the center, and I wanted, not very subtly, give birth to the creature, and I said, this is the perfect structure. Then we started researching water cisterns, and near the edge of the northern part of Africa, they use Medusa as a symbol. So I said, I want to design a very operatic set with 2 circles and emptiness and circles in the center, because the circles and mirrors are the language of the film. And then when we were designing it, I said, we have to make it seasonal. So very few elements, like in an opera, like in a stage, the batteries come in, but they're green, and then the batteries are on and it's red. It's raining in the lab. It's snowing in the lab, blah, blah, blah. The simplicity of the shapes helps the symmetry, helps read it well. And we built everything. I wanted the craft in this movie. The reason it was in development in Universal.
I'm not kidding. I went to visit them when they were shooting, and I was absolutely floored. It was really incredible.
We were developing in 2003 or something like that at Universal, and I said I wanted to be both a chamber piece and an epic, and I want to build everything the way things. I said it's aspirational. We have to tell the guilds, you can just hold on, build everything. Don't give the volumetric digital screens, or don't give into the AIs, don't simulate. Let's build everything for real. We loom the fabrics. The fabrics that they're wearing have patterns in them. We embroidered everything by hand. We used as much as we could, all physical. The miniatures were 25 feet tall.
Can you talk about that just a little bit? Because that's fascinating. Because you shot, as part of principal photography was then moving, and then talk about that.
I refused to do digital explosions. I wanted the real lab, so we built a lab that was more or less the size of the center of this room and blew it away. The advantage is not only the physical accident, but I get to keep the toys.
Right. Of course.
They're in my
that's the whole
house.
reason.
Yeah. After the explosion, I keep them. And the tower, we did 4 towers, 25 feet tall, and blew them away 2 times. And the last one is an exhibition in London. It's coming, touring the country later. But the physicality of these things, we built the whole first floor of the tower. With the huge pediments and everything. And I wanted the actors to be able to feel like we did on the carnival in Nightmare Alley. The carnival is real. You walk in, is 50% of your work is done, right? And so the ship is a real ship. We built a whole ship in a parking lot in Toronto, and we then created the most giant skating rink around it to bury it in the ice. When he moves the ship, we put a gimbal. And we moved an entire whaling ship with the actor. There's footage of me doing it. I'm sending it at Christmas. But the thing, what it is I wanted you to feel like you used to feel when you went to the movies. And so people talk about the size of the screen, and I always say it's the size of the ideas that I'm worried about. I'm very worried about us getting our images domesticated. We need this, we need that, and it would be cheaper if this was happening or that was happening. And I said, I want everything to be like that. And the studio, the anatomical waxes were $120,000. They said that's too extravagant, so I bought them. They're in my house now. I said I'll pay for that, and then I commissioned the ivory Venus for. It's $10,000 is too extravagant, so I bought it. It's in my house too, And whenever my tactic is they don't want to pay for it, I'll buy it and I'll have my props around. But in reality, I don't want to compromise with the oil paintings. I don't want to compromise with the typeface like we did in Nightmare. Study the typeface, study everything. If you do anything wrong, you pop out of the movie.
Yes.
If a painting, they say this was painted in the 1800s, you go, no, it wasn't. That's not the style. So we did everything to do that. So everything physical is there, done. Even the wolves, we shot every attack piece of the wolves with the real wolves on the set with the trainers, and use that as the reference to the animation.
So you create this very tactile world for everybody, the crew. Talk to me about how, when you started working with the actors, the 3 main actors, how far in advance, what kind of process did you go through, specifically with Oscar? Because that needle that he's threading is really incredible.
Really incredible, and really difficult. And, without yin, there's no yang.
Yeah.
Without the father, there's no son. Without the creator, there's no creature. And Oscar is creator, beast.
The sheer energy that he exudes physically is just.
I gave him a really tough parameter. I said, your voice is going to pitch the first half. So I said, let's listen carefully to Oliver Reed, which is not a naturalistic actor, but is a very truthful actor. And the way he modulates from here to here is extremely hard. So I said, you're going to pitch it up, and the visuals are going to be pitched up. And we worked around that, and we met I never take generals. They're extremely dangerous. But I took a general, I took a general with Oscar, and we had Cuban pork and beans, and we were talking about fathers and religion, and we talked for like 4 hours, and then at the end I said, I'm going to write Victor for you. And I wrote Victor for him. I wrote Elizabeth for Mia. I wrote Christoph's part. I wrote for every actor. And then Originally, the creature was going to be Andrew Garfield, and we had the strikes, and we had other things move, and he couldn't do it. So 9 weeks before we started shooting, with all the prosthetics sculpted and molded, we had to recast. And when I was a young director, I explained everything. When I became older, I listened to everything, and I listened to the movie. And the credit in a movie should be a film by the film.
Yep.
Because the movie tells you what it wants to be. And I said, don't worry, a miracle is about to happen. I said, should we cancel? I said, nope, we're not even pushing a week. We're going to look for the miracle. And the miracle's name was Jacob Elordi. And he, before we even knew each other, he was with my hair and makeup people in Toronto shooting Priscilla. And I said, what are you doing next? And they said, we're doing Frankenstein. I said, I should be the creature.
Wow.
And I said, I'm destined to be the creature. And he said, have you auditioned? He said, no, it's cast. And he said, but I'm going to be the creature.
Really?
Yeah. So I called him, and I cast eyes, you know that.
Yep.
I cast the eyes because 50% of cinema is being looked at, and 50% is looking at something. And the eyes contain that. And the moment I saw him on the Zoom, I said, this is the guy. And then I said, your last name is Basque, from the Basque country in Spain, isn't it? And he said, yes. And I understood he knew everything about fathers instantly, because if you're Basque, your father's tough. And we talked about it a lot, and that was a miracle. We had to, Mike Hill, the head of the creature designer, we designed the creature to feel minted, new, not an accident victim on the ICU, but a beautifully, newly minted.
That choice was incredible.
Yeah, it looks like an anatomical model or a phrenology model from the 1800s.
It also keys you into the care that Victor took to create him.
Yes,
That's
yes.
what I loved about it.
That's what we said is, if Victor had the assembly sequence is with a waltz, because hey, this is not a horror sequence.
Right.
This is what he's been waiting for 20 years. It's the first day in a set you've been wanting to direct all your life. You're not going to be haphazard.
No.
You're not going to assemble a station wagon. You assemble a Lamborghini. So everything he knows. And the way I cue it is the half corpse. I show the scars. Then the wax models have the same assembly line than the creature. So by the time the creature shows up, you understand.
I understand what it is, yes.
But the key was, how do I carry the audience not knowing? And the trick was, I'll start the movie with the most violent act that the creature can do. And by the end of the movie, you go, I know why he did it.
Right.
That is, because that's what we need as humans right now. Can we understand that you can understand? Can we feel? Can we have emotion for something that is so irreconcilable as that father and that son? And that was the goal, with showing him with furs, half blown out. Then little by little, he gets one word, father, Victor, one word, Elizabeth, one word, friend. And then he ends up like in the book, an eloquent.
And has that moment with the deer.
Yeah, that my decision with the fairy tale was, let the animals, like in a fairy tale, guide him into understanding the world. First the ravens when he's born, then the deer, then the mice, and finally the world is a wolf, because the world is a wolf. It is a wolf, and there's a lot of the understanding of this came from me processing the kidnapping of my father in '98. It lasted 72 days there, and the final image comes from that. I mean, when he was in. I used to resent the sun, because I said, the sun doesn't care about my pain. I resented it rising so indifferently. And then I realized my pain doesn't care about the sun. That's the reality. And I got to give in. I got to give in to that. And there's a lot of autobiography in the film like that. And that helps structure for me, what we strive with art is grace. If we can achieve grace at the end of a movie, an emotion with it, I'm in.
And so are we.
I think I'm still Catholic.
Sounds like it. Be careful.
Yeah, I know.
So this thing is behind us, and clearly you achieved what you set out to do, which I'm sure you have tremendous relief. What now? Do you feel lighter as an artist? Is there a new road? Walk me through how you feel right now, because it is such a enormous feat. Yeah. Enormous.
Well, there's three main things. One is during the sequence of the assembly of the anatomy, something happened in me, which I'm still not being able to process. My mom died when I was about to open Pinocchio. My dad dies after Shape of Water. I didn't have time to process it because I went straight to Nightmare Alley and Pinocchio back to back. But something cracked, and I'm still not able to know what. Something went away. When my mom died, it was like something had been carved and taken and out. And I have now the largest postpartum depression known to a male. It's really, I feel, there's a line in the movie, having reached the end of the earth, there was no more horizon left, and the achievement felt unnatural. I think sort of that, but I feel also that I don't go back to that.
Right.
I can't, it's done.
Right.
And so I remember having a dinner with David Cronenberg when he was 74. And he said to me, Guillermo, you have to scare yourself into being young, or it goes away. And I am going to, the next movie, I'm doing a stop-motion adaptation of The Very Giant by Kazuo Ishiguro, which continues themes that are similar but different. I'm entering, for the studios to get very hopeful with me, I'm entering my phase of memory and regret. Two guaranteed blockbusters. You know, if it was hard to raise the money before, it'll be harder now. And I'm writing a thriller that I want to shoot with completely a different set of tools that I've ever used. And I'm writing it for Oscar. And it's basically two characters that represent two sides of regret, crossing the country on a car and killing people. It's like my dinner with Android with murder. but I'm writing it as a character piece, and it's a dialogue of myself with myself. So, you know, I'm alive again, and I feel really the hope of being scared. I want to shoot it in a short schedule. I want to shoot it with available light. I want to not use a single crane. Because, you know, everything you see is staged with a techno. I make the set so the techno can function like a steady or a handheld. Oftentimes I'm on the front of the crane guiding the camera, and I have a speaker straight to the camera operators that I call 1-900 crane, because it's like, yeah, to the right, oh, push him, a little higher, oh, yeah. And we mastered the sequences like that. Now I'm gonna give up a tool that took me 30 years to perfect. So out the window, yeah. So,
well, Guillermo, thank you so much. That was.
Thank you very much.
Lucky that
Thank
you
you.
make it. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks for listening to another DGA Q&A. The Director's Cut is available wherever you listen to podcasts. And please share, subscribe, rate, and review. We'd love to hear your feedback, and you can help fellow film buffs find the show. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time. This podcast is produced by the Directors Guild of America.